Morning.
Welcome, everyone.
Good morning.
We're just going to wait one more minute, let a few more people from the waiting room get into the room. Welcome, everybody. If you're here for cruising and all-inclusive session today, you are in the right spot. We'll get started in just a few moments.
And let us know while you're waiting, let us know in the chat if this is your first session of Traveling a New Vegan World, or if you've been to one of our awesome prior sessions. And if you want to let us know which ones you've attended, that would be awesome too. I think this is number 3 for us so far.
Number 3.
Yeah.
This is the halfway point today.
So we have a new people. Oh yeah, Laura's ready to book her trip now.
I think you and all of us, Laura.
Oh, we got somebody waiting. All right, hold on. And Peter. Okay.
All right, so we'll get started, Donna.
Ready when you are.
Fantastic.
Welcome to the 2021 Traveling in a New Vegan World. My name is Margie Jordan and I'll be your host for this event. Now, Traveling in a Vegan World was created by an amazing group of travel advisors and bloggers who wanted to showcase the best of the world to you and do it while traveling vegan. Grab your passports because over the next few days, we're going to visit some of our favorite destinations, including Europe, the UK, Asia, Canada, Central America, and the USA. We're going to be talking about the national parks, we're talking about cruises, and we're going to help you pick the right all-inclusive for your next vacay. It's going to be an incredible journey as we get you excited about traveling, enjoying the delicious vegan cuisine, and making an impact in local communities. Welcome.
There we go.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Margie Jordan, and I'm your host today. And this is day 3. And if you've attended any of our other series and trainings, you'll know that after these, you tend to be a little bit hungry. So I'm just going to warn you, if you haven't had breakfast or if you haven't had a meal yet today, you're going to be a little bit hungry after this. So today we're talking about cruising and all-inclusives, and I couldn't be more excited because I love, love, love a good cruise or a good all-inclusive stay. So I hope you're ready for today. Let me introduce our speakers to you. First and foremost, we have Jennifer Kern-Kaminsky, and Jennifer is with Magical Moments Vacations. She's a family and romance travel expert, and get this, you guys, she is a theme park expert. She is from New York City, and she loves to be the vacation matchmaker, crafting the perfect trip for each of her clients. Now, in addition, she's best known for her extremely detailed planning, which we all need in this era of traveling during a pandemic, right? And she makes touring the theme parks such as Disney and Universal Orlando fun and super easy. So welcome, Jennifer. We also have Donna Zeigfinger, and Donna is owner and travel agent with Green Earth Travel. Now, Donna is also going to be your moderator today, but let me tell you, she founded her agency in 1997 as the nation's premier vegetarian and vegan eco travel agency. Now, Donna focuses on volunteer vacations and adventure travel. She remains on the cutting edge of destinations with conscious, offering travel for those who care about the planet, and I know you guys all do. And last but not least, we have Jason McGregor, who is owner and travel curator with Vegan Vacations. Now, Jason is a longtime avid traveler, and he's seen his fair share of the globe, quite honestly. He's explored by ship, self-drive holidays, and all-inclusive vacations and tours, providing lots of that firsthand knowledge that you're going to need to have a great vacay. Now, after converting to a vegan traveler, he learned pretty quickly, like most of us, that there wasn't the same level of service or product offering available to those that chose to be nicer to the planet and animals, and thus Vegan Vacations was born. So I hope you enjoy today. It's early, so in my city, it's early here, so I'm stumbling a little bit. I hope you enjoy this session today and learn lots more about cruising and find the perfect vacation in your all-inclusive stay as well. So welcome to all of our panelists this morning.
Good morning.
Morning, thank you.
So Thank you, Margie. Margie is Margie Jordan is from Margie's Travels, and she is a travel industry executive, a speaker, and on-air talent, and she's just obsessed with changing the world, and as we are, and we really appreciate her for the introductions. So a few housekeeping things. We've got everyone, if you could please mute so that we don't have any interruptions. It looks like everyone's muted anyway. And if you have any questions, please post in the chat box or on the Facebook page, and we'll be sure to answer them at the end of each session. So this is recorded, so you can watch later, and you'll also have access to the Facebook group, which if you scroll up, I put a link to that, and I think Jennifer just did as well. And if you're not on Facebook, you can message me or Jason or Jennifer, and we'll send you the YouTube link. If you have any other questions there, you can also email, message us from there too. So with that, let's start. Today's agenda is traveling in 2021. We're going to be talking about different types of vegan travelers. And if you guys have watched the previous ones, we talked a little bit about the vegan types of vegan travelers. We're also going to be talking about exploring ocean cruises and all-inclusive resorts, and of course, the value of using a travel agent.
So traveling in 2021, it is a whole new world, hopefully in lots of great ways, because we have lots of exciting things to tell you about. But there are some changes and some things you'll need to be aware of. So some of the things that you want to make sure you're talking to your travel advisor about are the rules for your destination, as well as for your home country and state. We represent, three of us represent US and Canada. Both of those countries have somewhat recently added in some rules that you will need to abide by. There are going to be enhanced safety and health protocols everywhere you go. So you can expect social distancing, you can expect enhanced sanitization processes, you can expect some different rules. And we want you to stay connected. I always like to say, if you're going on a cruise or if you're going to an all-inclusive vacations, lock that phone up and you're safe. You try to unplug. No more doom scrolling, right? So don't doom scroll anyway, but you're going to want to keep connected just to make sure that if any changes come up while you're in destination, you can be prepared for them. And knowing how, when, and where to get tested. One of the things that came out for those of us in the US recently, as you may have heard, is that as of January 26th, there is a requirement that you very often you'll have to get tested in your destination before coming home. What's great though is that many of our partner brands have stepped up to the plate to provide free or low cost testing right at your resort. So that's a great benefit. It doesn't have to put a wrench in your plans if you need to get tested. You just want to be aware. And we're all ready. We all have different readiness to travel. I know someone in the chat said she's ready to book, she's ready to go. And that may be how you feel, or you may be looking at this as inspiration for later this year. And that's great. So as long as you understand that, then you'll be great and you'll be ready to mask up and go and keep exploring this wonderful world.
That's awesome. So we actually started our last session. If you joined us, we started off by talking about the types of vegan travelers. This is exactly where I start my conversations with any potential client, and I'm sure Jennifer and Donna do the same thing. It's really because there are so many different types of vegans out there, and we need to really be able to understand the different types of veganism. So if we are one of these types, we can clearly communicate that to people in destination, to your travel professionals, so they're making sure to recommend the exact offerings in terms of excursions and day trips that you'd want to do, and making sure that you're not seeing anything that you don't. So I like to say it's about being your own best advocate. I think all of us as vegan travelers understand how difficult it is to communicate our needs. So we really do want to make sure that you know and can tell everybody right away which type you are. The first type of vegan traveler is the healthy vegan. This is really where most travel options, especially in the cruising and the all-inclusive worlds, start right now. This is where they they created their options for us. These types of vegans are more concerned with their diet and better health and making sure that they're making choices in terms of their food that's going to make their bodies feel the best. This is not the largest group of vegans, however. The largest group of vegans are ethical vegans. This is more of a way of life. They're 1/3 of vegans, of all vegans in the world. They really want no animal products ever. When I meet this sort of vegan, I want to make sure that the trips that I'm crafting have thought about the ways that animal products are used. You're not going to end up at a farm. You're not going to end up somewhere where there is any exploitation of animals if we're crafting a trip based on your morals and your needs. The third type of vegan traveler is an environmental vegan traveler. This is a way of living more of a greener lifestyle, wanting to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, making sure that you're living in balance and harmony with the world. Now, a lot of vegans want to explore the world, but really feel terrible about the environmental impacts that it's having. So what I try and recommend to these types of vegan travelers is looking at possibly carbon offsetting. There are things that you want to consider when looking at carbon offsetting and make sure that you are actually researching the company you're working with. But there are ways for you to be able to explore the world and balance yourself as an environmental vegan. And the last one is religious vegans. This is quite a large component of vegans as well. This is living vegan life as a religious act. In particular, followers of Jainism many of them follow a strict vegan diet because they abhor violent activity. This is widespread in Thailand, which you can find in our ebook as one of our top 5 2021 destinations. But when these travelers are traveling, we want to know why they are vegan, and being religious is completely different than maybe an ethical or an environmental vegan. So when I recommend trips to these types of vegans, it's making sure I'm taking into account the motives behind their veganism. So we like to start off today with finding out what type of vegan traveler you are. We're going to have a poll pop up. Donna's going to put up onto the screen. And we just like to know if you're more than one type of vegan traveler, check off the ones that resonate the most with you. And we'll wait just a minute or two just to be able to see how many people are out there and what type of vegans we've got on the call today.
We got all kinds.
I know it.
Today.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
I love it. We're only at 20 seconds, and they're being attentive because we're getting answers really, really quick. So that's great for
Yes.
9 o'clock in the morning.
I still need my coffee.
So we're at about 93% there.
Okay. So let's share the results. Oops, there you go.
Great. So as we expected, the number 1 and the number 2 and the number 3 are exactly the way we would expect. Most of us are ethical vegans, followed by the healthy and the environmental. That's great. Welcome to everybody.
Okay.
All right, let me go to the next slide here.
So just, all travel is going to be a little bit different going forward. Cruising is no exception. If you have been on a cruise, you'll know that there are already great sanitization protocols. It's the only place to go where they, make sure you wash your hands before you eat. So we're going to see more of that. We might see, or probably going to see, some kind of health screening. You may have to test before getting on a ship. We don't know yet. It seems like reduced capacity on board is something that they'll be doing to allow for social distancing. And we're going to see cruising kind of come in a phased manner. So right now the ships aren't sailing, but as we see them come back, we'll probably see, based on what we've been seeing from the cruise lines and the CDC, we'll probably be seeing shorter cruises come back first. And then we might see some reduced options in the short term, depending on the protocols in destination, what those destinations can handle, and how they feel they can keep people safe. So it's just like with anything else, be open to changes, be ready to adapt, and you can still have a wonderful time on
I totally think the messaging for 2021 just has to be flexible, go with the flow. We're all getting back to travel. It's going to take us a bit to get those gears back up and started. But it's not going to be the experience that you were used to, say, a year or two ago, at least in the beginning.
Hopefully we'll be back to full time,
Yeah.
100% soon. I would love that. So we are going to talk about ocean cruises today and some brands that we really like. We could do a whole webinar on each one of these brands, probably more than one. So we're going to give you some highlights. One thing I really wanted to share with you is maybe do some myth busting, because I think some people think about cruises as not being very eco-friendly. But there are some brands that are really have really invested a lot in sustainability. So it really is possible. So many of the cruise lines are implementing policies for no single-use plastics, and that's enormous. There are more environmentally friendly ships. We're seeing more use of liquid natural gas, lots of conservation efforts, lots of recycling. We see lots of programs where they're able to recycle water or use excess heat from generators to also produce fresh water. So they're getting really, really creative and doing a great job at that. And you'll probably hear more when we get into the brands.
And we could totally do an entire session just on this one slide alone.
Yes.
And
No.
we didn't really want to go in and
Right.
reiterate what everybody's doing, because so much of it is everybody's kind of focused on that sustainability and how do we use less, how do we
Right.
recycle more.
And I will say the cruises have come a long way. They were not the most energy
Oh yeah.
places to begin with, but I would say the past 5 years, it's changed a lot for the better.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite brands to travel as a vegan cruiser. It's Disney Cruise Line. When you think about family cruising, of course, you're going to think about Disney. It's the only line that is purpose built from the ground up with families in mind. So you'll see a lot of space for storage in the staterooms. There are split baths. Most rooms have bathtubs, which if you have a small child is hugely important. One thing, you'll see the aqueduct on screen. It's a water coaster at sea. I want to talk to you. I could talk all day about it, but I want to talk about the rotational dining on Disney Cruise Line, because that's something that's unique to Disney. At Disney Cruise Line, you will rotate through the 3 main dining restaurants. It changes based on the ship. One of them is always Animator's Palette, where the dining room, depending on the ship, either transforms around you as you eat, or as you can see on screen, you get to interact with some of your favorite characters, or you can even animate a character. So there's a lot going on there. But what's really special about it is that, as you can see on screen with my son and our server, the servers really get to know you. They follow you through the 3 restaurants. So you don't have to every day go tell a new person, okay, I'm vegan, my husband's gluten-free, I have this allergy. They know you. So they're there to talk to you. There are vegan menus, but in my experience, they'll show you the vegan menu for the next day. And then if you don't like it, they'll offer you something else. One thing I remember, my son loved this watermelon soup, but it was only for one of the restaurants. But the next day they went and got it from that restaurant for him. My iced tea is always waiting for me at the table when I got there. So they really get to know you. They become part of your family. I showed some pictures of the kids clubs, of Pirate Night. There's a picture of my family because they have Halloween events. They have Christmas events. There's a lot of fun depending on the season. You'll have Broadway style entertainment. You get first run movies. So if a movie that's owned by Disney or Marvel or any of their companies comes out, you can get a preview of it at midnight in the middle of the sea, even on 3D. And one thing I wanted to also point out is I've actually done lots of cruises with my family, but also before I had kids. And what's exciting too is they have really great adults only areas, which you might not know. And another cool thing about it is that it's not as crowded because there's so many families and people with their kids. So you can really get a chance to enjoy the adults area of Castaway Cay and the adults nightclubs without lots of crowds. And I could talk all day, but I hope that I gave you some really good good tips. Like, I think the rotational dining with the server staying with you is so great to have that comfort of knowing that your special diet is taken care of.
I always think it's surprising that the amount of adults that are surprised that there are adults only experiences on board, or that they, you can go on a Disney cruise and not be around kids all the time. If you are looking for that adults only experience, I've heard that it is phenomenal as well.
For sure. And the adult only dining is great. They have adult only signature dining you can add on. And Remy, for example, it's an experience. It's a whole tasting menu, and they can do it vegan. and it's wonderful. It's a great place to go, whether you have kids with you or not, or if you have your kids and you want to send them to the kids club and escape. That's another great option for any of these family cruise lines.
Now, I don't think we started off by mentioning that this list is by no means exhaustive. We are seeing more and more and more vegan options appearing on different brands. So these are the ones that kind of stood out to us. And if you have any that you have enjoyed and you don't see it on our list, pop it into the comments on the bottom. We'd love to know which options excite you. We're also not going to have a huge chance to be able to hit on river cruising today. I think we were going to try and talk about that topic, but it could be its own session in itself.
Yes.
So we'll move on to Virgin Voyages. This is a very exciting new brand.
I'm really excited about this. I've been trying to get on this cruise since before that word. Anyway, but I am going on it this year, and I'm bringing a small group of people. So if anybody's interested in coming in December with us, send me a message. So Virgin Voyages is just, it's I could read what's on here. It's yacht inspired. It's a small hotel. It's not the same type of concept as regular cruising. They don't have buffets. It's all adults. So in other words, I think you have to be 18 or over to get in there. And it's a game changer what they're doing. I mean, they have 20 eateries. Razzle Dazzle is what they call a vegetarian forward restaurant. It does have some other options in there, but their main focus is on vegetarian, plant-based, vegan dishes. And from my understanding, from what I read, even on the rest of the ship, I think they have over 250 vegan options for you.
Every single restaurant,
right,
I can confirm, has vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free options.
Right.
They've really approached the whole concept of eating from, if we're going to be providing all of these services, we should be able to accommodate every dietary need. So,
and the fun part is Razzle Dazzle, which is the part I'm really looking forward to, is there's a drag queen brunch. Now, my understanding that you do have to pay extra for, but that's going to be worth it for me to do that. They have incredible fitness programs, and they have this they have a vegan tattoo parlor.
Yes, it's called Squid Ink.
Yes.
And it actually is an onboard tattoo. They actually don't call their travelers by cruisers. They actually call them sailors. So you'll hear that a lot about being a sailor. They're taking it back to the old days of sailing, and they wanted an opportunity when back in the day, you used to be a sailor, you'd get some tattoos showing where you had sailed. So the concept is you can get a tattoo while you are on board. And the best part is they're using vegan ink. So you don't have to be worried about that on this ship. They've thought about a lot of the stuff that other brands might not have thought about initially. Well, I personally am looking forward to trying vegan ice cream at the
there's that
ice cream.
So just real quickly, I mean, they are really how somebody said drag brunch, how Palm Springs.
I also think the other fun thing about this cruise line is they're starting in the Caribbean. I feel really bad for Virgin because they were about to launch in the United States just as COVID hit. So the fact that they're still in plans and they're still getting things going, this has given them an extra year to be able to make this even more special. So
they do have Europe in there now.
They're the Mediterranean cruises, because funnily enough, their cruise line created their first ship, the Scarlet Lady. It was ready to go last year, and since COVID has hit, their second ship is still working. Ready. It's going to be debuting in late 2021, so later this year, and they're going to be splitting between the Caribbean and the Mediterranean. One of the things that is unique about this is they've actually got a private island oasis that's beach club at Bimini that's included on every Caribbean cruise. It may be at the beginning of some itineraries or at the end, but it's a late night sort of beach club vibe where you actually can enjoy a bonfire on the beach with the other guests and then be whisked away close to midnight, and then you wake up back at home port, ready to go. So it's definitely a unique style of cruising. I don't think it's going to feel like any other type of cruising, but it's definitely going to provide a new option for those of us who are craving something a bit different.
One of my assistant just posted on Facebook, I want a vegan tattoo.
Me too.
Well, there you go. So I want to briefly tell you about this, because I know a lot of people, I've had people come up to me and say, oh, it's vegan friendly and it's eco-friendly, but what about the fuel? You know, it states on their statement the following: a net zero carbon future. Fuel is the biggest impact we have on the environment and climate change. While we are striving towards a future of carbon-free fuels, we know we have a long way to go. In the meantime, we are supporting commercial advancement of clean energy, alternative fuels, and other climate positive initiatives. The best energy is clean energy, and while we at least think so, that's why, oh no, sorry, technology. So that's why we are proudly partnering with Klimian, a Sweden-based company dedicated to converting ship engine heat into electricity, thereby decreasing our fuel needs. We are honored to be among one of the first cruise ships to use this technology. Sorry,
I think that's a great point, Donna. I think the one message I wanted to state is that there are brands that are looking at this forwardly. They're trying to address the issues. I always tell my clients, the more that we book and the more that we support these brands that are doing these initiatives, we're showing them that we want these options, that we are ready for something that's more environmentally friendly. And I think you're seeing it. There's some brands that are now focused on the smaller ships, the more conservation, more ways of being able to find fuels that are more energy efficient. And I have no doubt that it's gonna keep ballooning. But it's really important that we keep making sure to ask for these options. And when you book with any one of us, we're able to go back to that brand and show them the number of vegan clients that we're bringing and tell them the priorities that are important to each of us as vegans, whether it's environmental, ethical, any one of those topics. So I particularly wanted to talk about celebrity cruises, and that's really because I had the opportunity to go on a celebrity cruise a couple of years ago, and it was a great experience. There were vegan menus provided to us day one. Every single one of the restaurants had options for us, and like Jennifer said, what you'll find is that the ship wants to accommodate you however they can. In a lot of cases, they do bring out the menu for the night before, or sorry, for the night after, which is great. But I always tell people I never want to pick my meal right after I've eaten because I'm hungry. But they would make whatever you wanted. So if there was something that you really liked on day one and you wanted to have that day 2, 3, 4, and 5, they would make that for you. And Celebrity really went above and beyond in terms of their offerings. Celebrity also is sort of the luxury all-included vacations. They've now changed their pricing model. A lot of cruise companies have realized that travelers do not want to get hit with bill after bill after bill while they're on board. So they've now included Wi-Fi, drinks, and tips in all of their pricing, which makes it a little bit easier in terms of budgeting for your trip. I really enjoyed the entertainment on Celebrity. I haven't had an experience yet on the Edge, but the Edge experience apparently takes entertainment to an even higher level. So if you're looking for something unique that's not just, a lounge singer or maybe a Broadway show, you wanted to see something that was a little more curated and a little more story-based, Celebrity does create their own programming as well. Also, really, really love Save the Waves and Celebrity Cares. They're, like other brands, are trying to make sure that they're giving back. Celebrity has no single-use plastic policy. They're not using straws. They're not using any of the plastic cutlery. I know that some of the brands have mentioned that in 2021, there may be some times when they have to revert back to the old to be able to stay within the health and safety guidelines from the CDC or other groups. So what we're saying here is, in a perfect world, there'll be zero plastic, but we expect once operations get back up and running, that they'll be back to there's no single-use plastic for sure. The food on Celebrity was amazing. I was lucky enough at the end of my cruise, I was celebrating a birthday. This dessert here was my birthday vegan dessert. It was wonderful. And really, you're going for the service on Celebrity.
Looks so good.
It was
Sorry.
really, really good. And it was a surprise too. So it made it even more tasty. And the thing I really loved about Celebrity was you were not feeling like you were crammed on a boat with a ton of people. You could sit in a room, and this is the library that I'm sitting enjoying a cocktail, reading a book. Celebrity didn't feel like they crammed everybody onto the ship, which was wonderful. And it's a great option if you're looking for a vegan-friendly cruise line.
Yep. And a sister cruise line to Celebrity is Royal Caribbean. So they also have the Save the Waves program, a lot of the same exact kind of initiatives because it's the same parent company. Royal Caribbean has actually been voted for the past many years as one of the most ethical companies in the world. And that kind of crosses their hiring practices as well as their conservation initiative. So it's another great brand. Royal Caribbean right now has some of the largest cruise ships in the world on their Oasis class. A lot of the pictures I'm showing you are Oasis class. I really think this is a cruise line with something for everyone. So if you are traveling with a big group, whether it's, a club that you're in or a multi-generational family, and you have couples and families and, older people who are really active, people who are not so active, you can find something for everyone. They've just added within the last year or so new vegan options in the main dining rooms. It used to be actually a little easier in the Windjammer. I think a lot of these pictures are actually from the Windjammer, from the buffet. So now, in addition to that, you can get great vegan options in the dining rooms, which is great. I'm showing you some pictures of Perfect Day at Coco Cay. That's their newly enhanced private island. It's like a resort unto itself. I don't even know how to describe it. It has the largest wave pool in the Caribbean, the tallest water slide in North America, the largest freshwater pool in the Caribbean. It's just incredible. A lot of it is included in your cruise. There are some things that are an upcharge, but there's something for everyone. There's the chill side with the Cocoa Beach Club for those of us who want to relax, and the thrill side for the thrill seekers. Just so many activities on board for those of us who've been stuck home with our kids for the past like 10 months, saying, I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored. It will be a great it will be so refreshing to go on a cruise and be like, go do bumper cars, go do the floor rider, just go have fun. And they're not only great for all kinds of travels with special diets, like vegans or gluten-free, but they also have an amazing Autism at Sea program where they have trained counselors who can help children with autism. So that's also really great. They're just welcoming to everyone. That's why I say this is, the cruise line with something for really everyone. So I think that's it. Yeah, I could talk all day, but the ships are just incredible.
I think the next two that we wanted to talk about were sort of smaller, more luxury brands, but these two brands really stepped up their game in terms of having vegan menu options and not just accommodating vegans, but actually having vegan and plant-based options on the menu long before it became popularized in the last year or two. The first brand is Oceania Cruises. They offer really small, luxurious ships. Their newest class of ships have 1,250 people, where their older class of ships have only 684. So in comparison to Royal Caribbean, it's a completely different experience. If you ever get the opportunity to be able to see a Royal ship next to an Oceania ship, you will definitely see what we're talking about. But there is quite a large difference, and it's a much different experience. This cruise line is geared towards more mature audience, and you'll find that while they do accommodate children, they don't really have the kids programs and things. It's more about wellness and culinary. There's 200.
Cultural, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's they really get the immersiveness of their culturally immersed in their itineraries. What you'll find on Oceania Cruises is a lot of their itineraries have been pieced together into larger journeys. So I always like to tell people Oceania Cruises are those go around the world in 180 days. And when you see those big announcements of those epic world cruises that we all wish that, you know, we could do, Oceania has pieced that together where they've taken a bunch of smaller itineraries and put them together to this one wonderful world cruise. The thing that I think is really fascinating with Oceania Cruises is they also have a culinary center on board their ships. They offer cooking classes. I have been able to confirm that they do and can do vegan cooking classes. So we're trying right now to put together a trip for 2022 where we actually have a group of vegans go and we're going to do a culinary experience for a week. If you'd be interested in that, let us know in the comments below. I really also like Oceania Cruises because this brand offers you a program called O Life Choice.
Right.
Includes your airfare and includes some extra amenities, things like shore excursions.
Wi-Fi, which is
Wi-Fi, yep. You can get an onboard ship credit. The other thing that I really like about Oceania Cruises is that they offer these wellness discovery tours. So apart from just offering the food, there really is that wellness component on board. And because it's a smaller ship, you really do get to have a different experience than.
Yeah, I have several groups of people, small groups of people that, well, I have this one woman who goes and cruises on Oceania. She's cruised on all the cruise ships. I wish she could be here today, but she doesn't do this stuff. But she only, when she does cruise line, she only does Oceania. That's it. Because of the food. That's one of the main things. So
and they've really made it so that you don't have to feel like you're any different as a
right.
passenger.
Well, in the past 5 years, I would say, she has seen such a major difference in the way the food is taken care of. And also I have another couple, one of them has some serious health problems and they don't do oil. So they will do that for you. We have to request it. And you have to talk to the chef and so on, like you normally do. I mean, I always tell people when they get onto a cruise, just immediately go to the concierge desk and, you know, make sure that they have everything for you, even if they have a vegan menu, you know, because you might not eat certain things. So
yeah, totally. And don't feel like we were saying, being your own advocate is really important. No matter which session you are watching in this series, it's so important as a vegan traveler to advocate for yourself. Don't wait for somebody to ask. Make sure that you're telling everybody what your requirements are. If it's no oil, no sugar, no fat, a gluten-free, insert dietary need here.
right.
It's so important because they really don't know until you tell them what you need. And if you're really clear about it, I'm sure you can have a great experience, especially on the options that we've shown you here. The last cruise one that we wanted to take a look at, this is a luxury brand cruise. It's called Regent Seven Seas Cruises. These cruise ships are similar in terms of offerings to Oceania. It is a more luxury experience. They do offer free business class air if you are flying intercontinentally. They've got free shuttles from port into town. They're really 700 to 750 passengers on board. So you're looking at unrivaled space in terms of traveling in 2021. These sort of ships, I think, are going to be in demand the most because they really are a lot less people. But what Regent does that is really great is they try and make this an all-included experience. So they don't want you having to pull out any extra money on board. They've included all of the main items into their pricing. So you're paying one price. Most of my clients that have expressed interest or been on one of these Regent Seven Seas cruises, they do have a bit of sticker shock when they see the price of a Regent Seven Seas cruise. But when you look at all the value that you're getting and what you would have to pay for on board another ship, you end up really seeing that it's very comparable to what you're paying on a line that's charging a really low rate, but then charging you for every other experience. All of your dining experiences are included on this ship. They have 200 plus gourmet plant options available. We've got some, I'm talking so much, I'm not even flipping through the photos. That's how excited I am about it. But They definitely have a ton of options for vegan guests. And the Canyon Ranch Spa Club and menus means that they've really taken the wellness component and tried to incorporate it into your experience. So what you'll find on a lot of the ships we've talked about is that they do have fitness classes. They do have the yoga classes. You can go on vacation and not feel like you're being a glutton 24 hours a day, but you can start your day off right. Their rooms are unbelievably luxurious in terms of where you'll be able to spend your time. It's not like many other brands in the sense that you have a ton of inside rooms. A lot of their rooms, I believe it's 90% and above on all of their ships, have a private balcony. Another thing I think in 2021 that's really important, consider your accommodations. If you were an inside cabin person, are you okay on an inside cabin if maybe there's a problem on board, or if you have to stay in your room? I was telling clients to always think about, where they're staying and that they would be comfortable there if they couldn't leave for a day or two. So those are some of the cruise lines that we had. As I said, we were going to talk about river cruises today, but that in itself is such a huge topic. So we're going to pop up this second poll. A couple of the options are river cruises that we were going to talk about. If you think you'd like a river cruise, definitely check that off. We'll wait a few minutes and see where everybody wants to sail.
We have a few questions about the cruises if you want to.
Sure. Well, we can tackle them. Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, if we can tackle them now, and then we can do the land package. We're at 50%.
Yeah. Let's see. We do have quite a few interested in the river cruises, so we will definitely look at setting up a river cruise session. All right. Shall we end that poll, Donna?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
It ended for us. So
so that was a good mix. Oceania won out. 52% of the people wanted to try Oceania, followed by Virgin, and then
followed
Amma,
by two of the river cruises.
Yeah, the two of the river cruises beat Disney and Celebrity. So we'll definitely do a session on river cruises for sure, because that's a completely different experience in terms of the size of ships, the way the itineraries work. It's just, we wouldn't be doing it justice if we rushed through it today.
So we have a couple questions before we go on to the lands. Let me go up here. I'm not sure. I think this was on the first cruise what we talked about. So this would be for Jennifer. For Disney, do you have to pay extra for adult only areas?
Yeah, I did answer that in the chat, but just briefly, no, on the Disney ship there's a whole nightclub area. There's no admission for that. You can just pay for your drinks. There are adult pools, adult only hot tubs, a whole adults only area on the private island Castaway Cay. All of that's included. Where you'd start to see some additional charges would be for that signature dining that's adult only, as well as for spa treatments.
And so then okay, and let me see. Travel agents are known as first mates. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
So someone had a question about the air filtration systems, and Donna shared a link.
Yeah, I was going to get to that in a second. We had a couple.
I have all the questions in order on a doc. Oh. Yeah. So you don't have to scroll. That was the next question.
So do we want to keep going through with the all-inclusives and we'll hit the questions at the end?
Well, yeah, let's talk about the COVID airborne system. And we have a question on Facebook as well. Since COVID is airborne, do you know what these cruise lines are doing with regards to their air filtration systems? I can't say. I did post a link below so you can read about it.
They're actually, I've told some clients that the cruise lines already were really cognizant of health and safety because they have had to deal with things like norovirus. They have been always very cognizant that their air filtration systems were up to speed. I think with COVID, you've seen an increase in the types of air filtration systems that they're using. A lot of them are in that 99.9%. They're no longer recycling the air. They're trying to make sure that the systems are pulling in the fresh air whenever possible and wherever possible. And I think what you're going to see is just an enhancement of those protocols.
Mhm.
I know each one of the products that we talked about from cruise companies, they each have their own sort of system in place. So when you book with your travel agent, we can go over all of those health and safety protocols and send you the particulars about each cruise line. But yes, they have upgraded their air filtration systems. They're testing them now. I think that's why we're seeing a continued pause, is they really want to make sure that they're working for guests before they start welcoming them back on board.
Yeah, we had a few other questions here, but I think we need to move on because we're
Yeah.
running out of
Yeah,
time.
we'll have some time at the end for the questions, but let's.
Yes,
Great. So the
hopefully.
next section we wanted to chat about was all-inclusive resorts.
Yes.
So all-inclusive resorts are another great worry-free kind of vacation. I think we all could use that after the year we've had. Just like cruise lines, you're gonna expect enhanced safety protocols and deep cleaning. Every brand has a program, just has a different name. The same rules, especially flying out of your home country. You want to make sure you're aware of that. We'll see reduced capacity. A lot of these resorts are running. Many of the resorts we're talking about right now are open right now to guests.
Yep.
So we're seeing this, unlike the cruise lines, which you haven't seen yet, we're seeing this in action, and it seems to be working out really, really well. So just, like Jason said, pack your patience, be open to change, be adapt. A lot of the brands, especially the ones we're going to talk about today, have great sustainability programs. They have great outreach to their communities. That includes elimination of single-use plastics, like the cruise lines, eliminating styrofoam. Many of them grow or locally source their produce, textiles, products, art that you can buy, art that they display, and they have lots of programs for recycling their own recycling water and their water filtration systems. Some of these resorts are EarthCheck certified, Oceanic Standard certified, and they also will offer you specific excursions and programs where you can make a difference in the community. So we
Yep,
just
and
listed some of them here.
some of these brands have way more sustainability offerings and are looking at it from a different vantage point. It's always really important, again, when you're looking at, if sustainability is important to you, make sure to let your travel agent know, because we can direct you to those offerings that have a little bit more than just the basics. Because
Yeah.
I think most of them have great starting programs, but there's some that have really delved in and tried to make it more about also looking at the local communities and giving back to those local communities.
Yeah, some have really made it part of their brand.
Yeah.
And others aren't there yet. One brand that I love, we said we were going to talk about all-inclusive resorts for vegans. Charisma Resorts popped right up into my mind. Those are they're called gourmet inclusive resorts. If you haven't heard of Charisma, you've probably heard of the family resort, the Nickelodeon Resort in Punta Cana, and a new one coming in Riviera Maya, hopefully this year. Azul Beach, Margaritaville, and the El Dorado Adult Resorts. The pictures you're seeing right now are some of them are from the Pineapple, which is a really unique accommodation option at the Nick Resort. You can actually live in SpongeBob's pineapple for your vacation. The background picture that we first saw, those are the Palafitos. Those are overwater bungalows. They have a couple things I want to highlight for you. They have a Rainforest Alliance certified greenhouse over at El Dorado Royale. So they grow 14 tons of food per month. And their food program is fantastic. So they don't have buffets. What they have that's like a buffet, they call it a food display, because it's much smaller and more curated. Everything is marked for vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free. One thing that impressed me at every Charisma resort that I've been to is every single time you walk into a restaurant, they ask you if you have a special diet. And for me, that's really comforting, because it just makes me feel like they're on top of it. They're expecting me. They're ready to take care of my needs. And I've always been really happy with the food there. And I think their food is a lot, because it's their focus of their concept, it's a lot better than a lot of other all-inclusive resorts. Although many resorts have really stepped up their food game in the past 5 years. They also have, for the family travelers out there, they have the cutest kid and toddler amenities. They have small, tiny robes. If you're bringing a small child, you can just bring the child because they will provide a crib, they'll provide a bottle warmer, they'll provide a stroller, baby monitor, everything you need. So it's a really easy place to go with small children, but they also have fantastic adult resorts as well.
So the next brand we wanted to talk about was sort of the big player in the game, Sandals and Beaches. This brand is very well known for its luxury all-included resorts. Sandals is an adults only sort of couples vibe resorts, couples and small group resorts. Beaches brand is more for their families. The reason why we really like the Sandals brand is that they have a 5-star global gourmet program that features cuisine from all around the world. But they've got this incredible program called the Culinary Concierge, where at the top of your trip, you're able to meet with chefs from the team, go through all of the menus on site, and find the items that really speak to you. And then they figure out how to be able to bring those options to you using your vegan requirements, your no oil, your no sugar, any accommodation that they need to make, they can absolutely make with a short session just at the top of the trip. And if there's something that you find that you really want again and again and again, I've been told that they will keep making it for you until you've had too much. Sandals has come out with new vegan menu options. Late in 2019, they were starting to roll out a new program where they were doing a lot of farm to table, making sure that the vegan menu options weren't just through the Culinary Concierge, but that you could walk into any restaurant and know that there would be some vegan options for you. They were hopefully going to have that rolled out in 2020, but it's taken a bit longer with everything that's been going on. So we know that it's going to be rolled out brand wide into 2021. And Sandals really does have sort of these unique and varied accommodations that you won't find anywhere else. You have these overwater bungalows. They were, I believe, the first in the Caribbean to have these overwater bungalows. You're really getting that sort of luxury experience. And they have a lot of inclusions in terms of water sports and being able to have nightly entertainment. That, of course, with the Beaches brand, they've got a lot of kids programs and a lot of kids offerings. And you're going to find Sandals all across the Caribbean. So they've got, I believe it's 16 different resorts. They've got something like 50 or 60 different categories of rooms. It's definitely a spot that...
That's why, and one thing about Sandals is it's such a well-known brand, but every resort really has its own personality. So you can't really just say, oh, I want to go to Sandals. You really need to work with your travel advisor about the right one for you, because we could do a whole session on it, but they are so varied in the size of the resorts, in what's offered, and then of course the many room categories. If you go on the website and try to figure out for yourself, you will get a headache. So
it's too much. It's too much. But knowing what you want from your vacation will really help in terms of figuring out where to go. So this brand I'm really excited about is Palmaya, the House of Aya. This is a new resort in Playa Car, Mexico, that has really taken veganism and made sure that was a focus. It's not a 100% vegan resort, but it's pretty darn close in the sense that all of the restaurants have vegan options. They have vegan suites and vegan amenities. They've approached this concept similar to Virgin. They're kind of changing up the whole concept of the all-inclusive resort brand. They're calling it a gifting lifestyle, where it's an all-included vacation, but it's really, they're gifting everything to you. So you have all of your drinks, you have all of your Wi-Fi, you have all of your extra amenities. But what I really like about this brand is that they have a real connection to wellness, but wellness in sort of a new and exciting way. They have an Architects of Life program that is actually run by their in-house shaman, who will, through the time that you're on site, will actually guide you through different meditation sessions, yoga sessions, taking groups through sound sessions. They have a whole program called the Rituals of Sound, where you can actually go and sit on the beach, have a drink. There's DJs who will be spinning music to be able to try and bring more of that wellness to your entire experience. But unlike other wellness sort of resorts, kids are welcome here. This is a family resort. You're going to find a Waldorf inspired kids program where your kids will be able to go off and do a great sort of in-depth natural experience where they're actually immersed in the nature around them. And you can go off and enjoy your yoga and your wellness, maybe a trip to the jungle spa, and be able to enjoy a vegan mud scrub or a vegan spa treatment that you couldn't enjoy anywhere else. I really do love the fact that in their restaurants, everything is plant-based, and anybody who is coming in that would like to have an animal protein can request it, but they actually have to ask the waitress or waiter when they arrive to be able to have that. So what they've found is the majority of people don't want to be that person. So they don't actually order the animal option. They eat what is offered from the plant-based menu, and they're finding that in most cases they don't even have to pull out the animal product, which I think is great. Because I think we all know the experience where we have to be the odd one out, but now it's our omnivore friends who get to have that experience and see what it's like not being able to find what they need on the menu.
I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, me too. I'm hitting this resort this year for sure, and we'll report back to everybody about the experience. The last resort we wanted to touch on was Planet Hollywood, and in particular, Planet Hollywood Costa Rica and their newest resort that's opening in Cancun. Planet Hollywood has four hotels around the world. They have a sort of vacation like a star plan in terms of how they've shaped their resorts. But majority of what you're going to find there is it's more old Hollywood. You'll see a lot of Hollywood memorabilia throughout the resort. But the thing that I really love about this brand is their Pura Vida program, which was clear right from the moment they started advertising these brands that they took veganism more than just being accommodated, that they didn't treat it like a medical issue, that they understood that veganism is a lifestyle, and they've really tried to incorporate the nature and the other aspects of vegan lifestyle to their offerings to guests. So what you'll find is in every restaurant vegan options. You won't have to make yourself known as a vegan guest necessarily at all 3 times at any time. But these resorts offer you that sort of different, it's not the same old sort of resorts. You're finding different locations. Their Cancun resort has an adults only separate resort within a resort. So if you want that adults only experience, you can have that. But they've also got a Save a Planet program. So they're also following the no plastic, low flow toilets, biodegradable cleaning supplies. So I wanted to make sure that we at least touched on this option, especially if you're thinking of Costa Rica, but you're not sure you're ready to take that experience off an all-inclusive resort. If you want to go down and just be able to relax, this is the sort of option for you.
Speaking of Costa Rica, first off, when I book my clients for Costa Rica, I tend to put them in small properties, and so you can travel around the country and support the locals. Totally. And but speaking of Costa Rica, on Thursday morning, we are going to be doing a piece on Central America, and one of the women that we'll be talking to owns a all vegan resort. It's not an all inclusive, but it's an all vegan resort in Costa Rica, and we'll also be talking about the Caribbean and Central America.
Because there are definitely hotels that can accommodate in these areas for sure. can accommodate vegans, but in a lot of cases, they're not all inclusive. So this one today was just to try and give you some options in terms of those all inclusive.
Right. So we do have somebody who said she's thinking of Costa Rica for her next vacation. Does anyone have a good trip planned? Half beach, half jungle. There are 13 and there are 4 of us teenagers who would like to go on adventure, and anywhere we can go and rent cars. That's what I book. I book half and half, just so you know, and I'm sure that Jason and Jennifer do as well. But you could stay at this property, the Planet Hollywood property, and then go into the jungle for a few days. Yep. Or there's many various ways you can do it. So
and that's definitely one of the values of
that's the great thing about Costa Rica.
Yeah, and Costa Rica.
Last poll.
Well, yeah, should we do this last poll, or are we running late on time?
Well, we're running late on time, but we're going to do it real quickly.
Cool. So
we're right at the 10 o'clock mark.
That's yes. There's just so much information here, really. It's trying to figure out what
I can't believe there's Charisma. Okay. I love the Charisma resorts. I went there, I don't know, 10 years ago, and it was an amazing food experience. I tell you that.
Yeah. Looks like we have a good split. Everybody wants to. It is a good split.
It's like a 4-way, almost a 4-way. Well,
I'm in that same boat. I love all of these brands. So
yeah.
And Palmaya is definitely jumping out there. It's for sure a unique experience, but it looks like it's really tasty, and it just looks like it would be calming. Awesome. So let's go into the last little bit. The only last thing we wanted to touch on was understanding to not limit your imagination on some of the possibilities out there. I think a lot of people equate all-inclusives with only the Caribbean, but that is not the case. These 3 photos here just showcase some of the other options that we know about. Club Med is an example. They have great accommodations for vegan travelers in Canada.
That was my first all-inclusive vegan resort in the 80s.
Yeah, and you know what? They've been around for a long, long time, and they know what they're doing. I wanted to point out the fact that Canada is getting its first all-inclusive resort ever this coming December. In the bottom right-hand corner is the Club Med Charlevoix, which is in Quebec, and is going to be a 4-season ski resort. So there are options for all-inclusives if you'd prefer a colder climate and you don't want to sit on a beach, you'd rather ski. Club Med has some great options. You've got Spain, you've got they've got Greece, you've got some Portugal. Yeah, you've got tons of different options in terms of what's out there.
I do want to mention that photo on the top is in California, and it's an all vegan resort.
That's wonderful.
And it runs about 200 a night, maybe somewhere around there. So
there's something in every price point, in all honesty.
I believe it's all inclusive. Yes. Oh, you've been there, Lar. Okay. The place in California is the Stanford Inn by the Sea.
Yep. Awesome. And then the last thing we wanted to talk about was just the value of a travel agent, is making sure that you understand that we can provide you that expert advice where we know about these spots. And if we haven't visited one of these spots, we work with people who have visited one of these spots and can get us the latest and greatest information. I always tell my clients, don't fully trust TripAdvisor reviews as 100% gospel. They're a great place to start, a great place to see where people are at. But when was the last time you wrote a glowing review about something? When was the last time you wrote a negative review about something? Chances are there are some people who've had really bad experiences, but we don't usually get the full picture from those TripAdvisor reviews. So when you use a travel agent, we're able to go that extra step and really see what are the current rules and regulations. Do they still have vegan menus? Are they able to accommodate you? What is their sustainability plan? It's really important especially when you're spending all of your travel dollars to go somewhere, that it really fits with what you want and fits with your needs. That's where we come in. We can provide the peace of mind, just in terms of being able to piece together your half and half journey of all-inclusive and your jungle trip. We have a lot of access to a lot of great sales. So we can usually provide some of the best value because we're able to put things together. And in terms of convenience, being able to call one person and have them handle all of your options is a weight off of most people's shoulders. The biggest thing I say is we're your personal travel advocate. If we know that you want to get something out of your trip or you really are opposed to something, we're going to fight to make sure that that's what your experience is. So when you're on destination actually being your own advocate, we're here at home doing that same work for you, making sure that we're finding the best options that fit your travel needs. And I think that's it. You said we had some questions.
Yeah, somebody said, how do you find a good travel agent? And I said, well, there's 3 of us here.
There's 3 of us here. I mean, it's a great thing to think about. I mean, we're all from 3 different areas. We're all able to help any traveler purchase their travel. The key is making sure you have a great working relationship with your travel agent, and that you understand it's not just about sending a message and having your agent send you options. You really want to have a relationship with them, and you want to have a few conversations about your trip, because again, you're spending so much money on your vacation. You want it to be perfect.
We have a couple other questions. But I want to mention, if you have a good travel agent, I really recommend that you stick with them, because good travel agents are hard to find.
Making sure that you are talking to them, check in on your travel agents. I think most of us would love to hear from people. I think we're getting a little sad that we haven't had as many bookings as we normally have. Not from that sort of financial point of view. It's that we really love putting these trips together, and for a year we've it's just stopped. So
now I have 2 more questions. So, because I know people need to go, so we need to make this quick. Lar had mentioned he looked up the Palmaya and he was in sticker shock. How do you rank the best values?
So it depends. In terms of your product offering, you have to look at the value rather than that sticker price. I always tell my clients, if you're going to use all of the offerings from Palmaya, your vacation might not be as costly as if you were going somewhere else that you were maybe going to have to add a spa treatment or a yoga treatment or any one of these fitness programs onto. So it's really about finding out what the most value is for you, and calling your travel agent to see if there's a possible sale, because there's often a lot of different ways to be able to purchase these products. And depending on where you're coming from, that may be why your package price is a little higher. So departure cities really do affect, especially in the all-inclusive sphere, what your final price is going to be, because the flight is a component. Sometimes you can book these all-inclusive resorts. Your agent can book them directly and piece together a separate flight for you if the package price is a little high. But yes, there are some that have sticker shock, but I always break it down for clients, what you're getting, what the value is, and does that work for you? And we look at it from a per day point of view.
We have one last question that has been waiting for a while. Sally on Facebook said she's concerned about the environmental impact of the cruises. Are there cruises that have minimal impact on the environment? We did discuss that. I would say right now that Virgin is probably the leader in this, but because of them doing this, and it even started, I noticed, with the single-use plastics. When they started it, they all jumped board and said they needed to get on board. So I think that they're pushing them about it. But Sally, I will put a link. I had put a link in our Zoom here, and I'll put a link in the Facebook chat so that you can look at it and see what they're doing.
Yeah, and the different cruise lines have different programs, but they're all really good. I would say I would agree. I mean, Virgin was kind of purpose built for sustainability.
Right.
They have the new ship, so that's a great start. But that's something to just communicate to your travel agent as well. If you want make sure you're on a sustainable line or as sustainable as possible, let us know. And, even we were talking about Palmaya and maybe it is sticker shock, maybe that's not the resort for you. I mean, today we profiled, I think, 4 brands. There are other brands. I mean, there are brands that can really suit you within your budget. And that's definitely where we come in. So it might be that's your dream trip and it's worth it for you to save it because of all the inclusions, or you might say, you know what, this is not worth it to me. I'm going to find something else. And that's where we come in, because there are more affordable brands that might be just perfect for you.
There's also an option. Now, this is only applicable to Canadian, this particular program, but
Lava.
RA actually offers a zero interest program where you can finance your trip. So zero interest, no, there's a small administrative fee, I think of like $69 for some of the programs, but you're able to get access to funds to be able to possibly have higher experience, but have to pay it over, equal monthly payments, or pay now or travel now, pay later sort of options. So there are ways to be able to try and finance that trip if you really do want to have a bucket list experience.
Someone asked about the cruises, if in 2021 we'll be seeing sea days only, or if there will be excursions. I think what I've been hearing from the cruise line reps that I work with, I mean, nothing is set in stone, but I suspect that they're going to be starting with their private islands, because that's an environment that they can control. And you don't have people going out and coming in and different levels of exposure. So I would expect that we're going to be seeing, we already said we'll be seeing shorter cruises. So I think, at least in departures from the US, let's say, we'll probably be seeing more of those shorter Bahamian departures and focus on those private islands, because that's the most controlled environment. So I suspect that's where we'll be starting. And then hopefully, if everything rolls out, we'll be bringing in more ports of call, just depending on the laws in those particular countries and how anxious we are to work with the cruise lines.
And that's why sorry, go ahead, Donna.
Oh, sorry. One thing people need to realize, it's not going to be the same this year as it has been in the past. It is, as Jennifer said, it's going to be more controlled. From my understanding, some of the shore excursions will be more controlled, just because they want to keep you safe. So,
and it's going to create a sort of a bubble, I think, for the cruise ships.
Right.
They're going to have their own little bubble where they're like, you go with our group on this excursion.
Right.
This is the excursion that's offered. And it's going to be limited, as I think that's why we started off with it's not going to be like we've ever experienced before. And you kind of have to be flexible with everything. And if maybe that's not your style of trip, you might not want to cruise in this first sort of restart few months and wait maybe until 2022. But there are going to be some unique options for people for sure. And if there was a cruise just going to the private islands, I'd totally take that right now.
Well, I'm doing December 2nd. So whoever wants to join me, we got a small group going on Virgin.
That's awesome.
Just a 4-day cruise. So
the other thing with if you're looking at pricing, it's really important for you to understand the pricing fully. As I said, there's sticker shock with some of those luxury brands, but when you look at what they include and you're not going to get hit with, there's some value there. In terms of Virgin, as an example, they price their rooms based on the cabin. So when you're looking at a price,
right,
you're not actually looking at a per person price. You're looking at the entire price for a cabin. So between two sailors, it's split. But when you look at that price, you're like, oh my goodness, it's $2,500 for a Virgin Voyages. But now you split that into two, $1,250 on your cruise is a much more manageable price. And when you look at all of the inclusions in terms of the food, the no specialty dining additional costs, you've got your Wi-Fi, maybe what do you value adults only at? I mean, these are the sort of things that when you look at it, it starts to really make the pricing make a bit more sense.
For sure. We had a question about are any cruise lines smoke-free? What I'm gonna see if Jason and Donna have anything to point out. The best smoke-free, in my experience, of the mass market cruise lines is Disney. They only have smoking in very specific areas. You can't smoke on balconies. You could never smoke in the dining rooms. There's some older ships on some brands that still have that smell of smoke in the dining rooms from when you could. And there's no casino on Disney Cruise Line, and that makes a big difference because that's usually a smoking hub. So I just think from my experience, Disney's a great one for avoiding smoking.
Celebrity's another great one. They actually have, it's on the back of the ship. They've got one dedicated outdoor section for smoking. And apart from that, you are not able to smoke on board. I think a lot of brands are moving in that direction. But it's a key component. This is, a lot of people think booking cruises is really, really simple, but even drilling down into the where your stateroom is in comparison to the casino or the smoking area are all things to consider that agents will take into account when we're booking your trip, because the last thing you want is to end up right next to the thing that you just didn't want, whether it's kids, smoking, food, the casino, any of it. Like, we're there to be able to try and find you the perfect spot on board so you have a great experience.
Great. Well, I think that
Awesome.
just about wraps it up. We're losing a few people here.
That's
So,
great. Sorry it took us a bit longer.
I know it took us a little longer because we love what we do. And we can't stop talking about it. So at any rate, you have everyone's contact information on the screen here. And you can contact us for anything that you might need. And on Thursday, we're doing Costa Rica, Central America and the Caribbean. And then next week, I'm really excited because we're going to be doing India, Asia, and the upscale luxury market. And with that, we're going to have Zach from Veg Voyages, who I can never get him to do anything, and he's agreed to do this. I'm so excited. So it'll be Zach. It'll be Paul from Food Quest, and then Brighty from Vegan World Adventures, or Vegan World Travel, excuse me.
You forgot the best part.
They're not same day each week. If you go on the Facebook page, or if you go onto the Eventbrite that you reserved for, they're all posted there. So I posted the group Facebook page link here. I'll just post it one more time here, and you can join us, and we'll have updates. And then after this, just so you guys know, this is for Veganuary. So Veganuary is a little bit more than halfway through. After Veganuary, we are still going to be doing webinars. We just won't be doing twice a week ones. It's a lot of work here that we're doing. So
we wanted to inspire everybody to kick off 2021.
Yeah,
as this great year. It's going to be a much more positive. Yep. And we're going to get more vegan options. The more of us that travel, the more of us that make sure that we identify ourselves as vegan, we're going to see these vegan options ballooning even more.
Right.
And if sustainability is of priority to you, we got to make sure that we advocate for that, and that we ask the brands to give us more options, because we
have to push them.
Yep.
Honestly, that's what I've been doing for the past 30 years, is pushing them to get more vegan options, pushing them to become more cruelty free, and pushing them to become more sustainable. And you, as an advocate, as a client, you can do that as well when you see something that's not right. So,
and share it with our community. If you have suggestions, come into our private Facebook group and share those hotels that you really like, that you've had a great experience at.
Right.
We always love to learn about new product. In a lot of cases, these all vegan options are really, really small hotels, really, really small resorts, wellness opportunities that some of us haven't even heard about yet. And we just need to amplify each other's voices.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
That was fun.
Thank you. Have a great day.